Welcome to the Awaken Your Ego Podcast, where we embark on a transformative journey towards unleashing your highest potential. I'm your host, Joann, and I'm thrilled to guide you through discussions that delve into the realms of physical, mental, and spiritual wellness.
Brenna here. Join us as we unravel the mysteries of wellness, offering insights and practical tips to enhance your overall health. From rejuvenating your body to nurturing your mind and spirit, our conversations will cover a holistic approach to well-being.
I'm one of your hosts, Ariana. Discover alternative health strategies aimed at optimizing every aspect of your life. If you're ready to embark on this journey of self-discovery and well-being, tune in, open your mind, and let's awaken your ego together. Welcome to a life-changing adventure on the Awaken Your Ego podcast.
Welcome to our podcast. Today,
Take your time.
Today we're interviewing the lovely Joann Garcia. Thanks for coming, Joann.
Thanks. Well, I'm always here, but now I'm in the hot seat.
No, I'm excited for Joann to be in the hot seat. Let's find out some info.
This isn't a girl talk. This is a Joann Garcia talk.
Yes.
So it might turn into a little bit of a girl talk because that's just what happens. But
well, go ahead, kick it off with our bio.
All right. Joann Garcia is a holistic health coach and certified breathwork practitioner dedicated to helping individuals achieve optimal well-being through holistic practices. With 14 plus years experience working in the integrative medical field and a passion for mind-body healing, Joann specializes in guiding clients through personalized wellness plans, integrating nutrition, mindfulness, and breathwork techniques to reduce stress, increase energy, and promote mental and emotional balance. Through workshops, one-on-one coaching, and group sessions, Joann empowers others to reconnect with their bodies, release limiting beliefs, and cultivate a healthier, more vibrant life.
Woo! I know, it's so weird to hear someone talk about you.
Like, say your bio right in front of your face.
Like, oh, this is what it feels like.
Well, we definitely wanted to do this because Joann, if you haven't seen online, has been doing she's now a breathwork practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
Certified, but she's been doing some breathwork events that have been really fun. I think
And successful.
And successful people really enjoy it. So we wanted to just spend some time with Joann and see.
And I vouch for all those facts that I just said because I feel like she truly does help she empowers others to reconnect to their bodies and release limiting beliefs.
And she's been an OG at Ego when we were Valley Wellness Center.
Yeah.
So, long time.
Yeah.
Wait, Joann, we've known each other since you were what? Like, think of young women, like church camp.
Technically, we met at like a young women's
like
camp.
14.
I think it was in Brenna's group.
I remember we were at
and your
Girls'
mom
camp
was
together.
our leader.
Mm-hmm.
It's my first
21 years
You and
ago.
your cousin, or is it your sister?
No, it was just a friend from church.
Just a friend. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was destiny.
Isn't that
Eventually
weird when
have a
you've known
podcast.
people more than like the majority of your life? Mm-hmm. I find it weird now that we're at this age. I'm like, whoa, I've known you more than I haven't known you.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Actually, that is weird. I mean, I knew you from when we were like 14, but it's funny because we weren't really friends until we were adults. So yeah, weird.
And I've known Brenna longer than she's known me.
That's true. You have known me longer. No, we've known each other the same amount of time.
I've known you your whole life. You haven't known me my whole life.
But we've known each other the same amount of time.
True,
she's
but
been on
percentage
Earth
of your
longer.
God, whatever. Percentage of your life.
I've known you my whole life, and you haven't known me whatever, stupid.
brat.
Okay. Okay, Joann, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in wellness?
So how I actually got started in wellness was when I was probably like 18, 19. My mom actually got sick right out of high school. Kidney failure, and like in a matter of 6 months, it turned into like stage 3 renal failure. So she was like in and out of the hospital. Mind you, this was just fresh out of high school. So I didn't know, none of us knew what was going on. And I remember being with her at all these appointments, like taking her to the hospital and not really understanding what was going on. And I felt like I had this desire to be in the field. It's like I really appreciated staff and how caring and kind and helpful that they were. I was always a physical person. Like I was always into fitness. I was a tomboy.
You're sporty.
Played sports. Yeah. So it was like medical field seems like it fits, you know? So, and plus I had this urgency to start working.
Because your mom was ill.
Because she was ill and she could not take care of herself. So I found medical assisting. I'm like, okay, 9-month program. I could do this. It'll give me the foot in the door. Went to school 5 days a week in the morning, worked at the school for the school's registrar in the afternoon, then worked at the mall.
Oh my goodness.
So like my whole day was just busy. I had 2 younger siblings, so I felt like, and I was like 18, 19, so they were younger. So I felt like, I have to help her. Not being the oldest sibling, but I felt like a lot of it did fall on me. But
Are you the oldest girl?
No.
Oh, you're the older sister, yeah.
Number
Okay.
3.
But you took that. You felt compelled. You're like, I can help.
Yeah, like I want to do that. And that's what I was like, I could be in the medical field because I feel like this is me. I have this ambition. I want to help people. I want to be able to give back. So fast forward, done with school. They send out my resume. I get an interview at Central Valley Pain Management, which is next door to the now Ego Beauty and Wellness. But at the time, it was Valley Wellness Center. Interviewed. Next day, I get a call saying that I did not get the job. I was second choice only to someone who was a little bit older and had more work experience. So that was actually really devastating.
Devastated.
Right? I was depressed. I was like on a Friday. But then come that Monday, I get a call from her again and she's like, hey, my first choice no-showed. So if you want the job, it's yours. So I was like, yeah, I'll take it. Weird way of getting it.
How awkward.
But
I love that.
there. Second choice. All right. So I was probably at Central Valley Pain Management for 2 weeks before I got pulled over.
No, I'm just kidding.
No. I got pulled over to Valley Wellness Center to work for Dr. Lisa Hunt, who I guess she spotted me out and said, hey, I want her to work for me. So they asked, and I was like, sure, I'll switch over. I mean, they're right next door to each other. And Dr. Rhodes is the owner of both. So I was like, sure, it's same thing, right?
Yeah.
Same location.
You still got a job, right?
I'm still getting paid.
But basically that was my kind of like way into integrative medicine. It was a little bit different than what I went to school for, obviously, because everything is like holistic or a whole body approach to healing. Learned a lot about hormones and cortisol and food sensitivity and supplements, how lifestyle affects your overall health and all of that. So 14 years later, here I am. I started off working her front desk, obviously it's just entry position. And then I was her medical assistant, and then I became a phlebotomist. And then through the changes in the evolution of Valley Wellness Center turning to Ego, I became a health coach, and then now a breathwork practitioner. So
Yeah.
my first job, never left. I love it. It's where I was meant to be.
Kidney, I know, I'm always interested. What was going on with your mom's kidneys? They ever find out?
They just failed.
Just kidney failure.
They never really were able to tell us why. They thought maybe because she had high blood pressure for so long. But they were both kidneys, basically. They were not working.
Crazy. And it wasn't like an autoimmune. It was just like,
Yeah.
It's nuts. Okay, sorry. This was curious. But yeah, you've been here a long time.
And I feel like, obviously you've played an intricate role in the development of Ego and even with Dr. 95350 at the time and all of it. So I feel like you've had front row seat and you've had your hands involved in all of it. But what is currently your focus in work and life?
It's to constantly be growing. I feel like I am never content at where I'm at. I never want to remain stagnant. In my personal life, even with fitness, I'm a gym rat, and we all know that you're never really content with your fitness level. There's always, more muscle to put on, or I can start lifting heavier. I can lose more body fat.
There's always something to optimize.
Yeah, I need to be in my best shape. So, I'm very much always wanting to improve my physical health. Mental health, same thing. I did a lot of shadow work, a lot of inner child healing, addressing my traumas. And I feel like that journey never ends. There's always something that comes up. And I've learned to embrace that. I've learned that, the universe has its timing. I go with the ebbs and flows of life, and there's always something that's going to come up that challenges me or triggers me. And so instead of being afraid of these triggers, I just take it as a universal timing that I need to heal something. It's coming up for a reason, and I embrace it. And it's a time for me to look inward and reveal, okay, what is it? What am I missing? What needs to come out? Because the timing is now. And so with work, same thing. I feel like there's always something new to learn, especially with what I do. You know, I always want to incorporate new tools or new modalities for patients to grow, because I'm very much focused on mind-body healing. And there's always going to be new research, new studies, new
Modalities.
trends, modalities that are always coming up. And so I feel like people are always evolving too. And so I want to stay up to date. And so I feel like I really want to embrace being a student and a teacher. So anything that I learn, I want to be able to teach and give back, especially if it works for me.
Yeah.
You know, so then it's like, hey, I'm speaking from experience. I'm not just BSing my way, you know, like try it. But I'm also open to learning as well, trying new things, trying new supplements. Whether
You're willing to be your own guinea pig.
Yeah, whether it's scientific or woo-woo, you know, it's like I'm down to try it.
Like, why not? If this is going to get me to the next level, like I'll take that risk.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I love that about you. I think that's very true with how you operate.
Well, what do you think led you to integrate breath work into your fitness and kind of wellness practices?
So I actually stumbled on it. We went to a biohacking conference in LA a few years ago. And I randomly signed up for a breathwork class, which I thought was going to be like a simple seated breath work, maybe relaxing.
And we all went to different classes, so we weren't with you in that class.
We didn't know what we were choosing either. It was just kind of like, oh, you get a little description, like, all right, I'll be in there. It was a lot different than what I thought it was going to be. It was great, but I felt like it really incorporated your body, like body movement, making these sounds, like literally it was like whoo ha kind of thing. Like,
do you know what type of breath work it was?
I don't know. I wish I knew what it was.
Because it was like movement with breath work.
Yes. Oh, for sure. And I was like sweating.
I remember you were sweating.
It was hot in there.
But you were also crying.
Well, she had jeans and she had your regular clothes on.
Yeah, I didn't know.
You didn't know. Yeah,
I had no idea. But we were allowed to be barefoot in that class. But it was just a lot of body moving and breathing. I did cry, so I felt like there is something to this, and there was some type of release that I experienced, whether it was physically, emotionally, mentally. I didn't know it at the time, but I knew like this felt good, a little too intense for me to do on a regular basis, but there has to be a science to it, and if it's at a biohacking conference, like they have to have some studies to back this up. And then it wasn't until a little bit later, with the gals at Ego, we did some breath work. We were introduced to it, and then I was proposed the opportunity to learn it, to become certified, and I thought, yeah, it makes sense. And after studying what it can do, the benefits of it, I decided, like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to take this on. I want to learn all the things about breath work and start incorporating that with patients.
And I feel like you're so good at it. I feel like you're very encouraging, you're kind, but also firm in the right ways. I feel like it's like it was a natural fit. Like it fits, yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, no, I love it too.
New me.
New Joann, new breath coach Joann.
Yeah.
How has breathwork transformed your own life, like physically and mentally?
Well, I can say that breathwork comes in different forms. I mean, we all breathe, and there are different techniques. It's a mind-body practice. So with certain techniques that allow you to have emotional release or release stored tension and emotions in the body, that's helped me a lot. I grew up a very anxious person. I know that I stored it all in my system, my organs, my tissues. And so being able to utilize breath work to release that, I felt like it's helped me gain more of control over my emotions. Not to say that I don't get anxious anymore, but now I know when to identify it. I know how to breathe through it, and I know how to stay more regulated. Also with my physical fitness, understanding breath work as well, how to breathe through my workouts, understanding how to increase my lung capacity, the proper way of breathing, how to utilize the right energy for my workouts has also improved too. And identifying how I was breathing at first to know like, oh shit, I've been doing this wrong, you know, but just being able to make those switches and realizing like, wow, like I feel better. I have more energy. I'm not as exerted or exhausted after my workouts has made a huge difference.
One, it's like you're using your breath as a tool, not just like, oh, I'm on autopilot, just breathing shallow. It's like, no, how can I use it to calm down or to rev up? A lot of us
do when we don't even realize it. It's like we are just on this autopilot, mouth breathing or breathing into the chest, not realizing like, oh, I need to be breathing deeper. I need to be breathing through my nose. But, you know, we
don't do it intentionally.
Yeah, we don't even realize it.
Well, the connection to your nervous system with your breath, even just helping your body calm by taking deep breaths. I think it does make a big, I mean, I think we all, when we're like exhausted or anxious, like, ugh, like we do breathe, we're sighing, and we're like, like we are doing that, but I think it's like using it in a way, in a positive way. Like, yes, it's like a stress reliever, breath can, but when you're intentional with it, can be a very good tool.
I mean, even thinking about like watching movies, like when it's a stressful scene or like they're scared, how they're breathing, like it's like you think that's normal, you know.
When
you don't
I'm watching,
realize.
I hold my breath without realizing it. Like there's sometimes where I'm like, and I'm not breathing. I'm like, okay, girl, chill. You breathe.
Yeah. So it's like we really don't even realize how we breathe on a day-to-day basis.
Well, how do you feel? How have you seen your patients transform with breathwork practices, like helping, you know, using that?
Especially in the group sessions where we are doing an intentional emotional release, a lot of them tell me how, I mean, some of them come up to me crying and thank me, but they say how it's almost better than therapy. And I don't want to say it's better than therapy, but
it is,
you know.
I'll say it. I think it is.
But, you know, when it comes to, you know, having some type of emotional stress that you carry, a lot of us don't understand that we actually have to address the body before the mind. And not to say that therapy isn't, you know, efficient or helpful, but a lot of times is the body is tense and the body is in that survival mode, and it's going to have that defensive mechanism in place. And so we actually need to relax the body before we can address the issues in the mind. And so when people do the breathwork release, they're able to feel that weight being lifted off. And a lot of them have some type of epiphany or some type of, you know, answer or clarity given to them during their session. And everyone's journey is specific to their own, whether it's a form of a memory that came up to them and that they didn't realize is still hurting them or that they're still holding on to. There's some type of trauma that happened early on that has been affecting them. Or it's just a voice of their intuition, letting them know, you know, the message that is that they're seeking. And it's really very simple, but it's profound to everyone individually. And so I think that that is probably the transformation that patients will get. You know, very specific to everyone, but also very empowering at the same time.
And I like that you mentioned the difference or the differentiation between mind-body, because I feel like sometimes even when I intellectually or cerebrally like understand something, it's all of a sudden when that situation comes around again, my body wants to automatically respond, like my default response of what I would normally do in that situation. But sometimes it takes a few occurrences to match like the mindset of like, okay, I can rationally understand this, but I still feel anxious or crazy or fearful or whatever. And so it's like merging those two together. And I feel like breath work is one of those modalities that helps you release those stored default mechanisms so that you can kind of align with like what you know is rational in a given situation, I think.
And my first experience with breath work was really intense. Like I went in like open mind, like I'm here to have this experience. Like there wasn't anything that I felt like I was trying to like get out of it other than like I had no expectation. I had nothing that was like top of mind that I'm like, I want to release this or whatever. I really was just like open to the experience. It was Mindset with Mads. She had an event and I feel like for me, it was just it felt like I was releasing years of tension, and I clenched my jaw a lot, and everyone tells me like, okay, be less stressed, like whatever, I know. It's just like, it's almost like biting my nails. It's so automatic for me, but it was like my whole jaw relaxed, my hands relaxed. Like it was like I had tension in my body that I had been storing for so long. And it wasn't like this spiritual, like enlightenment for me. It wasn't like, oh, this clicked for me. It really was just like this physical release of tension that just felt so good. It was just like, I didn't even know I was that tense. You know what I mean? It was just like
normal. You're like, whatever.
It's like my baseline tension. It just felt nice to have a space to like release it, and then tap into joy. Like it was like, okay, why are we holding on to all this tension? Like we don't need this. Like we can release it.
Yeah.
As I'm saying this, I need a breathwork event.
So we have one coming up, so you can go
There's
at the
one
end of
monthly
March.
if you want to join.
I'm a sound fairy at the event, so I don't always get to participate. But how does breathwork support a holistic approach to wellness, both mind and body?
Well, it's honestly something that anyone could utilize. I mean, if you think about it, we all need to breathe. And when you understand how to control your breathing, you are able to, one, either give yourself more energy, more focus, you can be more alert, or you can utilize it to relax and maybe de-stress, decompress, or relieve anxiety. So honestly, the breath work is a gateway to your nervous system. So that's going to affect the mind and the body. But just learning how to use the breath to tap into either one of the two, I mean, really, it's within minutes. You don't have to take a supplement and then wait for it to start kicking in, 20, 30 minutes later. You can literally achieve whichever result you're looking for, just taking the time to slow down, utilize it, and then see the effects afterwards.
Yeah.
I like that. And then with that, I feel like with the breathwork kind of events that we've participated in and thrown on, I do feel like it really does help you tap in to that theta brain wave, like prayer does, like meditation does. It's like, I think it's a different approach to it. Like you said, like going through the physical motions to then be clear mentally. But I feel like people are fearful. And I'm like, wait, if you pray or meditate, why are you fearful? Like it's just a different way to tap into that connection with self, with a bigger power.
And what I find interesting too about the group events is the time it takes, because you have the same kind of script or time cadence of what you're doing. But what I find interesting in the group events is how it is, depending on the group, it's like it takes everyone a different amount of time to kind of lock in, but they always lock in. Like, and sometimes if you have a group, they'll lock in 5 minutes, they get it, boom, boom, boom. And other groups where you can tell people are struggling to lock in the resistance. And then eventually, and then there comes a point where everyone is on that same kind of frequency too. I find that interesting about the group settings. It's just how, like, even if they struggle to get there, they all get there eventually. Yeah. But the time it takes to get there, it is interesting.
I was impressed with that collective energy in the room. And I know we've talked about that a lot, but when you're leading the breathwork moment, and me and Brenna are kind of facilitating with energy and with sound, it's like it feels so good. Even if I'm not breathing in that moment, just being in that energy alone, I'm like, it's very rewarding, and you can feel everyone's good vibes kind of like coming up.
Yeah. No, energy is definitely something that we can feel. I mean, we're all energetic beings, and I think that when you understand that is emotions are energy in motion. We're all human. We're going to feel emotions. But if you don't allow yourself to fully process them, they can be stuck and stored in the body. And so energy can be felt outside the body. I mean, studies have shown that it can be measured, I think, 3 feet around the body in all different directions.
6
Yeah, just like you can feel someone's
your energetic
vibes.
field.
Yeah, you can feel bad vibes. You can feel positive vibes. So within the breathwork session, what we're doing is we're trying to get that stored energy out. And so naturally, when everyone's breathing, all the energy is coming out. And so you can feel it within the room. And it's powerful. And it's also really beautiful. There's a lot of times where as I'm speaking, I can literally feel people's energies. And as I'm guiding the session, I feel compelled to say certain things. And then I get this tug at my heart. It's like, okay, someone needs to hear this. Or someone is jiving with, I feel someone feeling me. So that's really reassuring for me. It's like, okay, like this is good. Someone is feeling, realistically, I might not get to everyone. Maybe not everyone might feel an experience, and that's okay because everyone is at a different level as far as lung capacity and how they tend to breathe. For those people who have a harder time, it's mostly because they're probably breathing into the chest breathers. And so that's just a sign that you are stuck in a sympathetic state where you're just kind of on fight and flight. And that's okay. It just means, or at least for me as a practitioner, is keep trying. You need to try again and to learn how to fight that, learn how to breathe in deeper and really activate the parasympathetic, which is your rest, digest, and recover. And, like I said, we all breathe. We have our breathing patterns that we're not fully aware of. So imagine how long have you been breathing into your chest without realizing it? It's not going to take one session to just fix that. It's like relearning a new way of breathing, a new normal way. And so that might take a little bit of time to adjust.
Yeah. When I like that you mentioned, I remember the first time I did it, I'm like, well, it's all so new and shocking and different that you're like, I feel like I had to really dial into the rhythm, but then after the second, third, fourth, after you do it a few times, you're not even worried. You already know what the rhythm is and you can really tap in kind of more mentally and get those downloads that are coming through. But I usually tell everyone, I'm like, don't just do it once.
Yeah.
You got to at least do it twice, if not 3 or 4 times, to really get in the groove and not feel awkward or hyper-focused on what the method, you know.
Your body needs to feel safe. That's the most important. And, everyone's been through shit. Some people have more stored emotions or tension than other people. So it's also being gentle with yourself and having a little bit of compassion. If you didn't feel anything the first time, don't, be so quick to just brush it off and say, oh, that didn't work for me. It's like, it can, just give it a little bit more time.
When I say, I say it all the time, kind of jokingly, but I kind of mean it, where I'm like, I'll try anything twice. The first time you don't really know what your take was. It was all new. But the second time, then you can have a good inkling of this is for me or not. But breath work definitely falls into that.
Well, and I like too, when we're in a session and you can tell someone needs that release and they're almost there. And me and Ariana usually are and help Joann give some guiding touches, grounding touches to help
angels.
People. We're the breathwork angels. No, but but it's like, and I remember feeling the same thing. It's like just knowing that someone is with you, then you feel like it allows you to release and cry or whatever we need to do. And I find it rewarding too when we're going around, you see someone that's just right there and it's like, you just touch their shoulders and they are you're doing a great job. And they're
but it's like, even if they're not giving themselves permission, you're then giving themselves permission to let it out, girl.
And I feel like sometimes we just need someone else to tell us what to do. And that I think is what is so nice about those breathwork things. It's not that you're telling them what to do, but it's someone to take the wheel and just be let it go. You don't need to hold this. It's someone, it's a third party. You don't know, not connected to you. You don't know anything about what people are holding on to. You're just giving them permission to let go of stuff that may be holding them back. And I think sometimes we need to put ourselves in spaces so we can allow that if we're, because we're not letting ourselves do it.
Yeah.
So I like that, you've been able to create that space for people.
And can you explain to those that really don't know much about breath work, the science behind breath work?
So talking about the emotional release, I guess a somatic release of type of breath work, because again, breath work comes in different forms. What we do when we're trying to achieve that, it's a form of rapid breathing, but what we're doing is we're increasing the oxygen in the body. And so what that does is it alkalines the blood, and that has a special effect on the brain. So most of the time when you have stored tension in the body, a lot of it has to do with that inner critic, that negative voice in our head, right? Because really, in order to get stuck in that state, you have to have this thinking, feeling loop, right? That allows your body to stay stuck in that condition. So we call that your default mode network, and everyone has it. It's just that, annoying voice in your mind that wants to doubt you, that wants to criticize you. It's just negative overall. And so when we're increasing your blood oxygen, it has a special effect on the brain where it kind of puts it into a shock, and a positive shock, not a bad one. But what that shock does to the brain is it allows it to take a rest. And so what that does is when you silence that voice, that inner critic, you are then able to turn into the real you. Like, who are you underneath all the BS and all the negativity that has happened in your life, all the trauma. And that's where patients are able to receive their mental clarity, or they're able to get their answers, or they're able to go back to a previous time in their life and realize, oh, here it is. Here's the source of my pain, and this is what I've been holding on to. And so it's basically, we're trying to shut off all the noise so that you can take a look in deeper. And while we're doing that intensive breathing, we are allowing those emotions to come up. And so, because I said emotions are energy. So that energy is coming up, but you're breathing through it. And as you're breathing through and exhaling, you're able to release it out. Mind you, I also give patients or clients prompts. There are some yells, there are some laughter that you do that also kind of helps get that out of the body. So, yeah, basically the science of how that works in a session.
I like that. Like, you're silencing the inner critic so you can just receive.
Tune in.
Tune into like what's going on actually, and not judging the emotion or the doubts or the feelings you're having. I think for sure that's a simple way to put it. Like, love that explanation.
Well, you kind of already touched on this, but how does proper breathing impact our body's ability to release tension, increase endurance, and improve strength?
So when you learn, because we talked about relieving tension, but improving strength and endurance. When you learn how to properly breathe, basically you're learning how to tap into the right energy source. So we have something called aerobic energy and anaerobic energy. And so, for example, when you're working out, when you breathe through your nose, you are using the aerobic energy. And so oxygen is very important for our cells, right? That's our cellular energy. And so aerobic energy allows 16 times more energy efficiency. So when you're working out, you're actually exerting less energy. You'll take less recovery time, and you're actually able to burn more body fat. When you tap into anaerobic energy, which is usually done when you breathe through your mouth, you're not actually utilizing oxygen, you're tapping into glucose as an energy source. And so it's efficient for short-term energy spurts. It is easier and faster for your body to tap into, but it's not ideal for a long haul. So think of anaerobic energy as like a muscle car. Like, it can give you a spurt of energy, but it's toxic to the environment, uses a lot of gas, and it's not meant for the long haul. You don't want to go a long distance trip using
those short bursts of energy, lifting, like kind of those more anaerobic, Yes.
So understanding that, which I didn't realize that I did that, when you're working out and you actually feel nauseous and dizzy and all that, it's more likely that you've tapped into anaerobic energy versus aerobic energy.
Yeah.
So that's why it's actually really important to breathe through your nose, especially when you work out, which, could get tricky when you're doing something, high intensity. But even if you breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, you don't want to be breathing in and out through the mouth, because that's when you're tapping into the wrong energy source. So especially for athletes or people in the fitness industry, learning how to properly breathe is actually really important for your fitness overall.
Oh, for sure.
And also longevity too.
When I've had people ask what's the difference between nose breathing, mouth breathing, and it reminds me of college physics, which sounds weird. But when you put your finger on a hose and all of a sudden squirts further and more pressure, it's like anytime there's a smaller opening, there's more pressure. So if it goes from bigger space to smaller space, it's going to increase pressure because it's trying to push out the same amount of volume. And I know that sounds nerdy or whatever, but I think it's realizing your nostril is a lot smaller than your mouth. So it's able to push the oxygen deeper into your lungs. You're able to get a deeper push in. And then when you're focusing just on mouth, yes, you're still allowing oxygen in and you're releasing it out, but it's not getting as deep in. Yeah. And I remember when we talked to the Izod method in the Zone on Demand, he was talking about that. A lot of people forget how to breathe just efficiently. but interesting.
When I feel like growing up playing soccer, like I had to learn how to breathe because you're running so much, and then you're also being like you're sprinting, jog. It's like you have to conserve your energy while you're playing, and so I feel like it was like in through your nose, out through your mouth, and it became so natural for me, like. And then when I went to other exercise, it's like a natural thing that it's like if I want to conserve energy, it's like nose, mouth. It's like, and it's almost like it was like how I can connect back to my breath was like it's because like when you're tired, you want to, but like you realize like this fatigues you a lot faster than it's like almost like going through your nose forces you to slow it down too.
Yes.
So, and it forces your heart rate to slow down. So that way you're not like,
Well, it's funny because as you're saying that, I'm like, when you take a big breath with your mouth, you feel it in your throat, you feel it in your mouth, like that fills up. So you feel like you're getting more oxygen. But when you think about it scientifically, it's like, no, actually with those slower breaths through your nose are feeding your lungs deeper and they're feeling that more, but it's allowing that process, that change.
Yeah. Breathing in through your nose, going into the diaphragm and really expanding down there. That's the efficient way. And like you said, when you breathe into your mouth, like, you feel like you get kind of a efficient breath, but it's going into your chest. It's not actually going all the way down. You want diaphragmatic breathing.
Yeah. When I think of too, like we were talking about size, like, but to me, I think that is more of like a vagus nerve stimulation than it is actually breath. It's like the vibrating of your, whatever. I don't want to make the sound.
Make a clip.
Well, what's the breathing? Well, we talked about this like at Bikram where it's like the last, they have the
fire.
The fire breathing. But it's like the vibration too. It's like stimulating the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Mind you, there's a time and place for mouth breathing.
Yeah.
So there are techniques that require it. I'm not hating on it. Just know when and where to do it.
And you don't want to be a mouth breather.
Yeah, no, not on a daily basis.
No judgment if you are.
Come see me if you are.
What are some simple breathwork practices listeners can implement in their daily routine to boost their wellness?
So there's actually 3 pillars of breath work for someone new. And the first one is breath awareness. So I would actually challenge listeners to take some time throughout the day to pay attention to their breathing patterns. How are you breathing on a normal day-to-day basis under stressful situations? When you're calm and relaxed, when you're frustrated, when you're angry, when you're sad, and just become aware of how you are breathing, just to know what you are baseline, right? And so that's how I realize sometimes I hold my breath. Like if I'm feeling anxious or I'm feeling upset, I'm holding my breath. And that's just like a reminder, it's like, oh, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I need to improve. And so anyone, I would say, just start there. Become very familiar with how you breathe. The second pillar would be learning how to relax and release with your breath. And so one simple way of doing this is sighing, which sounds very simple. When you take in a deep breath and you exhale, you want to sigh. And I know that society makes sighing like a bad and negative thing. It could be like rude or like, oh, you're bored, like, ew, you're being disruptive. But it's actually really beneficial because we have these tiny air sacs in our lungs called the alveoli. And those are actually responsible for the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide into the lungs and into the bloodstream. So when you are not utilizing those alveoli, they collapse. And so when you take in a deep and exaggerated deep breath and you sigh, you actually force those to open up. So it's actually a simple way to expand your lung capacity and really open up all those alveoli so that they're able to properly exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide. So sighing is a positive thing, and anyone can do it, you know. And if you think that mammals, babies, they all naturally do it, but it's very beneficial to your lungs. The third pillar would be breath control. And that's where you learn how to control your breathing during different situations. You can start with doing simple techniques of deep breaths and match your inhale to your exhale, make your exhale longer than your inhale, try box breathing. I mean, there's so many different techniques that you can find online, on YouTube, wherever, on apps. but just learning how to do different controlled breathing techniques. And so overall, those would be the important pillars of how to go about starting it and how you can start implementing it in your day-to-day.
I like that. Step one, start taking notes on
attention.
your routines and how you're utilizing breath first.
I definitely, it's funny because my husband was the one that called me. I didn't even realize I'd hold my breath, but there are times where when I'm really focused, and I need to be more mindful when I do it, because I don't know if it's when I'm stressed or whatever, but where it's I literally will, and then and it's not like I'm focused. I've done it where it's I hold my breath for kind of a long time and then I release, and it's through my nose. It's and then, and it's a weird little sigh after, and he'll be like, what are you doing? Sometimes I do it when I'm eating, I think. And it's weird. I don't know why I do it, but.
Yeah, I was telling my boyfriend about that, reading him the facts about sighing. He's like, I do that all the time. I'm like, you know what you do? And every time he would do that, I initially thought something was wrong with him.
Yeah.
Because, when you're just I'd be like, what's wrong? He's like, nothing. It just feels good for me to do that. And I was like, and then later when I read about that, I was like, oh my gosh, there's actually health benefits to this.
Well, it kind of, as you were talking about sighing, it made me think of sex, because I feel when you're having sex, or at least when I'm having sex, it's a little breathy. What? But you're breathing heavy, and I feel part of getting to orgasm is also release. Yeah. It's releasing tension, but I think your breath is kind of connected to that.
Yeah.
And I think since we've done the breathwork stuff, and when I'm performing my sex magic and trying to get inspo and tap in through that modality, it's I realize when I am focused on my breath and even breathing more so through the mouth than the nose, it's almost you get the benefits of that intuition spike, that feeling of overall wellness, joy, happiness. It's it forces me to be really in tune with what's going on in my body, because that inner critic is shut off, that voice.
Oh, yeah.
So if y'all haven't tried it for that, I think we should. Breath can help there too.
In the
better
it really can.
What advice would you give someone who might be skeptical about the power of breathwork?
Honestly, I would say just to give it a shot. I mean, whenever you're in a stressful situation, take in a few deep breaths and just pay attention how you feel. I mean, really, breathwork is about slowing down. And I know that could be hard for a lot of people who are used to being on the go, and just, throwing shit in the backseat. I don't have time to do that. If you could just take the time and just practice. I mean, really, it doesn't have to be an elaborate practice. 2 minutes, right? You could be sitting in your car, you could be at home, you could anywhere. Just take in those few deep breaths and notice how you feel. And I know that you will feel something. You can literally feel the shift in your body. It's just learning how to implement it on a daily basis. It's really simple. Anyone can do it. Children can do it. I mean, they don't have to do somatic releases, but they can take in deep breaths. Try it on your child, really. Try it on anyone and just see how it makes them feel. Because again, your breath work is a direct bridge to the nervous system. And so when you understand that, is you actually have the power to, rev it up and give you the time to focus, energy, become alert, or to relax. It's just give it a shot. There's really nothing that you can lose.
Yeah. Well,
an hour of your
that's
time.
fair.
Just a few minutes.
No, well, it's funny because a few people that have come to your breathwork events, you can tell those that are really hesitant, kind of this is weird. And I always tell people it's a little weird, breathing with a lot of people you don't know.
Yeah.
And then you're giving kind of positive affirmations. If you're not someone who's done that before, I could see you walk in and being this is weird.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, it's okay. We're going to get a little weird.
Embrace the weird.
Embrace the weird.
Yeah.
It's a little out of your norm, out of your comfort zone a little, but just experience it.
Yeah.
And I think seeing a few people that you can feel their hesitation, but even that they'll come back.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's try it more than once. And you always tell at the top of the class, don't worry.
Judge it.
Don't judge this experience. If you didn't get this magical whatever, come back again and let yourself experience. And then, so I like that you give that kind of feedback too at the top of your classes, but just be open to the experience.
Yeah.
When I love how you said you always want to be a student and a teacher, and I vibe with that completely. I totally think that's the way we should kind of walk through life, because I can't assume I'm doing everything right. right? It's like I'm not ignorant enough to think I've considered all the options and I'm doing all the modalities. It's like I'm always down and game to try something new.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe this could biohack in a way that fits me. Because at the end of the day, I think everyone has to find their secret sauce of like what works for them, what nets the end result that they're trying to get. And for some, breath work is huge. Others are like, that didn't do as much as maybe yoga or like other practices. But it's like, why not try a few things and figure out what actually like sparks you? And maybe it's something new and different that you'd never have considered, you know?
100%. And that's kind of how I see life is, even if I don't fully agree with something, I still want to know about it. Just to have an understanding. Like, I love opposition. I love knowing both sides of the argument, and then I will base my decision based on that, but it's like, I still want to hear it.
You're curious.
Yeah, I literally lead with curiosity. No judgment, but, knowledge is knowledge, and there's always information that you can just put in your back pocket and hold on to, never know when you need to tap into it.
100%. Or it's like, what message am I supposed to get from this? I feel like sometimes you're just so busy going through life. You're like, wait a minute, maybe this random person is talking to me because I need to hear something. It's like being open to like even other downloads that the universe is trying to give to you. You know?
Yeah, no, for sure.
I think breathwork is like a good marriage between physical and emotional wellness. Like it really is like this physical activity that is really helping your like mental, emotional self. I think that's how I see it, is like this really nice marriage between something physical and emotional, mental. So it's like one of those things to incorporate into your like kind of overall wellness activities that I think kind of fits in there really nicely.
What do you think are important things that you consider when you're leading breathwork sessions? And what atmosphere are you striving to create for participants?
For sure, it's a place of safety. I feel like that's huge for me. That's the environment that I want to create for people. And that's kind of like the foot that I want to lead with, is I want you to feel safe, your body and your mind. And so I really want to fine tune my classes to help them achieve that, because it is scary to come in and do a modality that you've never done. It's rapid breathing in those type of group sessions. It requires you to be emotionally vulnerable. I mean, I'm asking you to open up and let shit come out. And I don't know what that is. I don't know everyone's story. I don't know the extent of their traumas. And so that can be really difficult and overwhelming for some people, but I appreciate their willingness to show up. And so for me, that's huge. If you are at least willing to try, I want to help you feel as safe as possible. I want to help you feel comfortable. And I want to reassure you that it's okay. Whatever physical sensations you feel, you're okay, which hence comes the gentle touches of reassurance. That's just for your body to feel safe. And then as I'm speaking to them, reassuring like, hey, it's okay. You are safe. Let it out. Don't overthink it. Don't hold it back. We're all in this together. Just let go. And so, I feel like in order for people to be able to achieve that, I need to make sure that I provide that for them.
When I love how the way you that we've developed kind of the breathwork moment and the sessions you put on for your clients, it's all very intentional. I feel like that vibe is that's the thread as we make any decision when it comes to creating an event and creating safe space for people. I love that you are very intentional about the music, how it feels, is it comfortable? I feel like you're doing everything possible to create a safe space. And I think that's something, and I'm grateful that we've gotten a lot of feedback from clients who are like, wow, I've done a lot of this, but I've never felt this comfortable, this secure, and the energy feels so good. Yeah. And then I'm like, that means we're doing the job right. I love hearing that feedback, because that's what we're wanting.
100%. And I love when they tell me that they feel that my heart is in it. Because for me, I'm like, yes.
You're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to tell you that, but for you to tell me that, like, okay, then my job is done. Because I am an empath. I am very sensitive to emotions. Grew up being told, oh, you're so sensitive, oh, you're so dramatic because you want to share your feelings. But it's like, no, that's not a bad thing. That is a strength of mine. That's my armor. That's what I lead with. And so if I'm able to feel other people's feelings, I know that they can feel mine too. And so when you can feel my intent and you know that, hey, she's legit, she means this, she is looking out for me, that's all that I want. And again, that's part of how I'm trying to make you feel safe. I've been there too. I've been through trauma. I've been through hardship. I understand what it's like. And if anything, that's kind of a way that I'm able to connect with people is I can connect with you through your pain because I've felt it. And so speaking from experience, I've done these things. I've used these modalities for myself and it's helped me. And so let me share this with you. Let me give back and let me give you a new resource. It might work for you, it might not, but the best thing that I can do is at least share it with you and teach it and then allow you to, let it take its course, and however it turns out, great if you get the result that I'm hoping that you do. If not, that's okay. Maybe there's something else for you. Kind of like a hairdresser, it's like everyone's going to have their way of doing things. Not everyone's going to vibe with everyone. So even if it's just going to a different breathwork course, different instructor, that's fine. Don't give up on it. Just try something new.
I like that.
What is one takeaway, and you kind of answered this, you would want people to remember about the power of breathwork in their fitness journey?
Really that it doesn't have to be complicated. Like you don't have to overthink it. You don't have to overcomplicate it. It is very simple. And I think that when you just kind of open up to it, then I think you're going to be more susceptible to actually achieving the result that you're looking for. But you can do it at any time, any day, it doesn't have to be a big elaborate thing. Again, like there's simple techniques that you can do 5 minutes before your day, 5 minutes before you go to bed. You don't have to do a 30-minute emotional release, to experience breath work. It's actually very simple, and just maybe start slow. Don't overwhelm yourself if you feel like it's scary. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and don't undervalue it because it's so simple. Exactly. Just because it's so easy and it's free and you could do it at any time, it's like, it doesn't mean you should shelf it. It's like, pull that out. That's something 100%. We can implement very easily. The barrier to entry to breathe is no barrier.
You breathe every day all the time. Your body does it for you.
Even when you're asleep. What is a piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
I knew that this question was on there, and I'm like, there's so many things. I was always an overthinker. And I think it would be to not overthink so much. And I feel like a lot of my anxiety came from that, but it was overthinking the unknown. And so now when I look at the unknown, I see it as possibilities. And I used to see the unknown as like this dark place that no one knows what's lurking there. And how do you know if it's going to work out for you? It's scary. But now it's like, no, the unknown is full of possibilities. Like you don't have to see it through a negative light. And even if people don't agree with you, understand what you're doing, understand breath work, like what is that? You breathe and you get emotional. That sounds kind of woo-woo. It doesn't matter. And I think just trusting in myself, trusting in my abilities, my intuition, and just knowing like, hey, if my intent is good, that's all that matters. I'm going to keep pushing forward. Whether people jive with me, agree with me, understand me or not, that's fine. I'm going to lead the way. And sometimes it is being a pioneer in something new and unordinary that not everyone's going to understand yet. But as long as I'm paving the way and I know that this feels good for me, that is what's most important. And eventually people may understand, or I'm going to attract people who want this. Or I'm going to be, introducing something new that people didn't realize, like, oh shit, this is great. I do need this. This did make me feel good. But just not to overthink it. It doesn't have to be, I'm very OCD and I like to know things and I like to be very structured and organized and I want to know what exactly, all the details. But sometimes that doesn't matter. Like just step into the unknown and go with the flow. See what happens, trust that it's going to work out for you. And even if you get pushed to a different path or whatever, it's fine. You're still moving forward. Mm-hmm. Maybe that little shift is on purpose. It's not a bad thing. Just keep moving forward.
I love that.
What advice would you give to yourself a year ago?
Oh.
A year ago would be kind of similar. A year ago, I would give myself the advice is, like, why not you? The things that you want, why not? Why can't that happen? And so, now I know what you think you feel you believe, and what you believe you manifest. And so when I used to think about manifesting, I'm like, that sounds so impossible. Like, am I wishing for something? Am I dreaming for something? It's like, no, you just got to believe it, bitch. Like,
It's that
you
simple.
need to, yeah, it's so simple. But in order to believe it, you need to feel it. And if you're going to feel it, you need to think about it. And you need to really trust that you are worthy of receiving it. And so, gosh, Brenna, you make me
I'm sorry.
Yeah, like thinking back a year ago, it's like, why can't I find a partner who loves me? Why can't I find a career path that really fuels me? Like, why can't I have all the things that I want? A year ago, I was a single mother. And so it's like, why can't I have that happy ending where just things work out for me and just effortlessly? And so I felt like I had this resistance of like believing that I'm worthy to receive that. And not that I'm a bad person, but it's just thinking like, no, everything has to be hard. Like I have to put in the hard work in order for it to get to me. And if I haven't got it, it's because I'm not working hard enough.
Yeah.
But that was also so damaging to my body.
Because then it's all your fault.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm putting my body through all this stress. I'm holding all this tension in, but I don't have time to rest. I don't have, you got to figure this out on your own, especially if you don't have a partner or supportive family to lean on. It's like, no, you got to do this all on your own. And so I think, a year ago, it's just like, just trust that you can receive these things. You can have all the things that you want. And if you just believe in it, if you can just push that self-doubt and that inner critic, hence with all the breath work that I was doing, that it can happen for you. And it's just very simple, is you need to believe in your self-worth.
Yeah.
And what's changed over the last year?
My self-worth. Really
I feel like almost freaking everything. No, I'm saying now you have a man. She's pregnant with a baby. You're doing you're a breathwork practitioner. Like you are unrecognizable to a year ago. And I think it's beautiful to watch. You're blossoming and you're confident and you're sharing your like depth of love and compassion for people. And I'm grateful to work with you. Like I love Joann. I love you so much. And, but I'm proud of you. Like, I feel like you have taken on that task of figuring out what you want, what you need, and allowing it to be received. And I think even that in and of itself is just amazing. Mm-hmm. That's like the key.
Oh, for sure. And I definitely feel that too. It's like, and not to say that I was an insecure girl, but it's just like, man, like when you really stop worrying, when you really stop overthinking and you just believe in yourself, it's like, no, I am someone, I am important. Why not me?
Yeah.
Why can't I teach? Why can't I, help heal people? Why not? And it's just that shift of really believing yourself and how you talk to yourself. It all matters. And so I think, that's made a huge difference. And, once I was opened up that door, I was like, yes, I can get these things. And it all started flooding in. Now I realize, like, oh my gosh, I've manifested.
I think
this is what they were talking about.
This is what they mean. No, that's why I asked that question, because I feel like you're in the recent, few months, it just seems like you're at a space where you're receiving and like a lot of really beautiful blessings are happening for you. And like you totally deserve all of them. Like, it's not like, it's like, I don't know. It just makes me happy to see a person that you work with. You see the people you see every day. And it's like, things just seem really like, this feels like a happy time for you in a really positive way. And like I don't know, I'm just happy for you. And I think even just you evolving into this breathwork type practitioner, like you've really taken you could have taken the class, you could have been certified, but it's like seeing you kind of even just taking your knowledge, your growth and sharing it. And like,
you're owning it. Like
you're owning
ownership.
it. And you just feel more yourself. And it feels like it's a period of ease and blessing. And I don't know, I'm just happy for you.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Yeah.
Might be the normal sex, but I don't know. Maybe it wasn't the breath work. It was actually, I'm just kidding. I just killed the vibe. I'm sorry. Where can listeners find out more about your work or participate in your breathwork sessions?
Well, they can find me at egodefined.com. My Instagram, TikTok are both the breathcoach_Jo. They can also contact the phone number 209-577-2799.
Or the Awaken Your Ego podcast.
Or the Awaken Your Ego podcast. Yes, I'm so sorry.
Well, and I feel like I want people to know too, not only do you do these group sessions, but if that feels a little intimidating or you want more, you also offer those one-on-ones, which can be very beneficial.
100%.
Okay. Well, thank you, Joann, for joining us.
Thanks for having me in the hot seat.
Thank you for joining us on another enlightening episode of the Awaken Your Ego podcast. We hope our discussions have inspired you to explore new dimensions of health and wellness.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback fuels our mission to empower individuals on their path to optimal well-being.
Stay tuned for more insightful conversations, and until next time, may you continue to awaken your ego and embrace the extraordinary potential within.
Take care, be well, and remember, your journey matters.